The year 1971 was a turning point in South Asian history. East Pakistan fought for independence from West Pakistan, leading to the Bangladesh Liberation War. India got involved, escalating the situation into a full-scale war. The conflict began in March 1971 with a Pakistani military crackdown in East Pakistan. This led to a refugee crisis in India, with millions fleeing from East Pakistan. India supported the East Pakistani freedom fighters, putting it in direct conflict with Pakistan. By December, Pakistan launched preemptive strikes on Indian air bases, marking the official start of the war. The war was fought on both eastern and western fronts, with India supporting the Mukti Bahini. The war lasted just 13 days, ending with a decisive victory for India and the creation of Bangladesh. The Soviet Union played a crucial role, especially with their naval intervention. Their support was a game-changer in the war. The victory was not achieved by India alone. The Soviet Union's involvement was pivotal. This marked a significant moment in the geopolitical landscape of the region. The Soviet Union's support for India during the 1971 war was significant, particularly their naval intervention. They sent a strong naval force to the Indian Ocean to counter the US Navy. The intervention began on December 6, 1971, with a task force from Vladivostok led by Admiral Vladimir Kruglyakov. The force included cruisers, destroyers, and nuclear submarines, some of the most advanced naval vessels of that time. The Soviet ships entered the Indian Ocean through the Strait of Malacca and positioned themselves strategically. Some ships were near the Andaman Islands, others close to the coast of Bangladesh. This allowed them to monitor and potentially intercept any foreign ships entering the war zone. The presence of Soviet ships was a clear message of military support for India. This was crucial as the US had sent its own naval force to the region. The Soviet fleet acted as a deterrent against potential US intervention in favor of Pakistan. This strategic move by the Soviet Union was instrumental in the conflict. It showcased the power of naval diplomacy. The Soviet Union's support for India wasn't limited to naval intervention. The Indo-Soviet Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation, signed in August 1971, provided India with security. Diplomatically, the Soviet Union was very active, using their influence in the United Nations Security Council. They vetoed resolutions unfavorable to India and pressured other countries to stay out. The Soviet Union also provided economic and military aid, including weapons and equipment. This alliance had long-lasting implications for both nations. The Soviet fleet played a crucial role in blocking potential US and UK intervention. The US sent its naval force to the Bay of Bengal, led by USS Enterprise. Admiral Kruglyakov's task force shadowed the US ships, creating a tense standoff. Soviet ships were ready to intervene if the US fleet tried to assist Pakistan. This was a major diplomatic and strategic victory for India and the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union's support had a significant impact on the course of the war. India conducted its military operations with more confidence. The naval blockade became more effective with Soviet ships. Pakistan could not receive supplies by sea, weakening its military. Soviet support boosted the morale of Indian forces. It contributed to the quick end of the conflict in India's favor. Their support turned the tides in India's favor. The Soviet Union's support during the 1971 war left a lasting legacy, often cited as a crucial factor in India's victory. The speed and decisiveness of India's victory surprised many, with the Soviet role being particularly significant. It showed the importance of having powerful allies in international conflicts. The naval support provided by the Soviet Union was especially noteworthy. It demonstrated how naval power could influence land wars and change strategic calculations. The presence of Soviet ships in the Indian Ocean was a game-changer. The 1971 war strengthened the relationship between India and the Soviet Union, leading to closer ties that lasted for many years. This relationship influenced India's foreign policy and strategic thinking. The memory of Soviet support during a crucial time remained strong in India. Today, the events of 1971 are still studied by military strategists. The Soviet naval intervention is seen as a classic example of deterrence. It shows how a show of force can prevent larger conflicts. The legacy of this support continues to influence discussions about naval strategy and international alliances even today.